Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Welcome to the Real Female Entrepreneurs. Today's guest is living proof that even from the hardest valleys, you can rise and lead. She is the founder of CEO COAC, a nonprofit that's impacted over 10,000 lives with resources for housing, recovery, and empowerment. Her story is marked by depression, loss, and unimaginable grief. Fuels her purpose as a national advocate and recognized leader. From Times Square billboards to Woman of the Year honors, we're not talking one, we're talking a few. She's a light for others walking in the dark. Her faith, resilience, and passion are contagious. Trust me. Please help me welcome the inspiring, full of faith and strength, Evalye Alexander. Welcome, Evalye.
Thank you, Angel. It's such a pleasure to be here. What a wonderful introduction. I mean, like I said, that is just so amazing. So thank you. I'm honored to be here today.
Yeah. Okay, guys, I just spent a few minutes talking to her, and I'll let you know that I've been crying. She's amazing. And
Thank
that
you.
doesn't happen often. So we're going to talk about a few things that sparked her to start COAC. And what does COAC actually stand for?
Yeah, COAC. All right, guys. It is a long name, so we have to shorten it. But it literally stands for Community Outreach and Advocacy Corporation.
All right.
So it's the acronym of the letters. Yeah.
Is it just based in one area right now, or we're spread out a little bit?
Well, we are starting to expand. We're actually getting ready to expand to Birmingham, Alabama. But right now, we've been based here in Atlanta, Georgia, and doing things throughout the state and cities. And now we're looking to expand our horizons just a little bit more. So
So you're going
we're
across the
excited.
I-20 corridor.
Going across the I-20 corridor, looking to go up a little further too, but we're going to start right there in Birmingham. We're going to start right there.
That'll be
Yeah.
fantastic. I was working in the Birmingham area during those tornadoes that came through really bad, that ripped up stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, so in some of those hardest hits,
Yeah.
really, yeah, they're still struggling a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of need down there, where there are a lot of people who are, below the poverty line, and so that's where we feel like our organization can go in and help make a difference with some of the resources that we have here in Atlanta, just to bring it down to Birmingham.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I see you
exciting.
nationwide though. You're gonna have fun. All right. So what sparked that? Can you tell me what sparked you starting co-op?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to make a super long story short, but if I can say it in a nutshell, and I'll be just totally transparent. I didn't want to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know anything about a nonprofit. I didn't even know I knew that they existed, but it really came after I had a full-on mental breakdown, so to speak, just for lack of better words. I had a about a 15-year bout of major depression, and this was a second suicide attempt that I had gone through. And after that particular moment, I prayed out to God, and I said to God, I don't care if this takes me the rest of my life to figure out.
Mm,
Show me what you need me to do, because I've done the 9 to 5. I have, the traditional life. I'm married. I have kids. I went to college. I've got a degree. I've got a master's. Like I'm running, this corporation, these programs in this corporation that I was working for at the time, over 23 campuses. It's like I'm doing the things that or at least I thought was what you wanted from me or what people wanted from me. Um, and I started going through the journey of healing. And in that journey of healing, it was a healing of my spirituality. It was an emotional healing. It was a psychological, like I literally had to adjust the way that I thought, the way that I felt. I had a team of doctors. All of that came in the healing process. And through the healing process, um, I literally heard God say, start the nonprofit. And I said, whoa, whoa, what do you mean? Growing up, just to give some additional context, growing up, I've always been in a humanitarian space, very philanthropic. My mom is a philanthropist, big time here in the state of Georgia. She's a retired politician now, but as my sister and I grew up, she would always put us in spaces to give back. And so we were either feeding the hungry, or we would be at the children's hospital and providing toys to the children on the cancer ward. Her biggest thing was the babies. She loves to help babies and make a space for them. And every Christmas she's giving toys, or the organizations that she was on, she'd lead those efforts. And then as I started to get older, I found myself doing it more so on my own. So when the holidays would come around, I'm leaving my family like, hey, I know it's 8 o'clock in the evening and we're probably just going to relax and chill like families do. But I'm going to the jails to feed. I'm going to jails to prepare food. We have a big organization here in Atlanta called Hosea Feed the Hungry. Now it's Hosea Feeds, but back then it was major, and they were national, and they were doing such big work to address food insecurity and homelessness in the state, by providing a lot of resources. But I got my hands kind of wet in that. I was always the little girl saying, "Hey, mommy, can we adopt a child from Africa?" Back then there were infomercials, and they would have the infomercials and the scroll, and they would say, they would show pictures of children that were malnourished or were struggling with whatever. And I was just always drawn to that. I was drawn to be able to help. So when I heard guys say start a nonprofit, I said, well, you would think I would know in what. I said, well, and do what do you want me to do? Because I was so conditioned to do my traditional lifestyle, not even thinking, that wasn't even on my radar. um and then just through learning a little bit more about myself, hearing more, seeking more of what he's asking me to do, I said, okay, so I'm supposed to help the underserved community. All right, I know exactly what I would do. I know exactly what I would. I know I want to feed the homeless. I'm always doing that. That's always been a big space for me. But then to make it more formal, and literally, um, I started to literally train myself on how to start and run a business. I had no clue. And this looked like a series of me getting online, reading the state's website, going to a workshop of people who own their own nonprofits, and everything was just in alignment because I really had no clue that God was aligning me to fulfill His purpose. I thought that the traditional 9 to 5 was where I should stay and where I would want to be, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't think that there was this extra piece that was going to be added onto my life. That process, that anybody who's ever started a nonprofit knows how tedious and how much paperwork, and just, oh my goodness, it's a lot. But and then for somebody who's never done anything like that, I actually got it done within a few months. And actually I got the 501c3 status, which takes up to a year to get from the IRS. I got it within 30 days, literally 30 days from the day that I sent the application in. It was done. Like, so and then COAC was born. So then I said, well, now what do I do with this? I have an organization. I'm hearing you. I know what I need to do, but now what do I do? And this is how we got started. There was a young lady. I just put a post on Instagram, and back then I really wasn't posting on Instagram. I still struggle with Instagram, if I'm being honest. I mean, social media.
That's
This is
why
so
I've hired 20-something-year-olds to do it for me.
okay. I still struggle with it. So I get on Instagram, and I had my logo at the time, and I just put a picture of my logo and said, "Hey guys, I started a nonprofit." Right? This was like 8 p.m. at night. When it hit 11 something, maybe 10 or 11 o'clock p.m. that same night, I had a young lady who reached out to me. She was somebody that I'd worked with in my 9 to 5 10 years prior to. And she said, I'm the director of Teach for America, and I'm trying to ramp up our community services. And we've never done it. I want to ramp up our business to business. And I would love if we could sit down and talk. And Angel, I was like, well, what do I do? I've never done anything like this. I can do it in my 9 to 5. Like I get partnerships and stuff in my 9 to 5. This is like, but for myself, I said, well, okay, here I am thinking I have to fake it till I make it. And I'm like, all right, sure. Yes, we can meet. We can meet. And we set up a meeting and we talked. And she said, well, I'm new to the role. She's like, so I would love to know what your organization does and just maybe how we can kind of come together. And for those that aren't familiar with Teach for America is a national organization that helps and deals with schools that have a lot of at-risk children, or these schools are typically in at-risk communities. They send teachers out, they train these teachers, they send them out to give them the students the resources that they need to thrive in a lot of different areas. And so they were trying to ramp up the community efforts in Atlanta, because there were a lot of students that, of course, they'd run into, or schools that had students that were transient, homeless, or whatever the case is, right? Their parents were either on drugs or just in different places and spaces, and they wanted to ensure that the babies had what they needed in order to continue to thrive inside of school. And so we literally started, just speeding the story up, we literally started in one of the schools here in Atlanta. And we would give, at that time, we called them the Blessing Bags programs. Inside of the Blessing Bags were food that they could take home for the month. And we kept in mind that we were dealing with children who were 5 and up, and they couldn't they couldn't get on the stove. They may not have known to use a microwave, but they had younger brothers and sisters at home that they also had to feed, and they were in such a space that they were playing the adults. And so in keeping up with the blessing bag and what we would put in there, we would put just different things, like different snack items, things that if they knew how to use the microwave, they could put water in a noodle cup and warm the cup up so everybody could eat noodles, or just different things of that nature. By the end of, goodness, 2020, by the end of 2019, excuse me, top of 2020, right before COVID, we had helped over 600 kids.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
we were every month with the blessing bags. We did the toy drives. We adopted families for Christmas. We gave turkeys. We gave, just all kind of things. And that was just it was such a blessing, because you know not knowing why and what you were going to do, and why you're even put in an entrepreneurial space to begin with, but just learning to trust in God, and being obedient to what he was telling you to do, and following these breadcrumbs. We were able to help so many people in that first space before COVID shut the world down. um and that really is just the impetus of how we got started,
Wow.
just through a lot of came out of a dark space to be a light to others. Yeah.
And I think you're doing some, other things now. Are you helping
Yes.
parents, like, get jobs. You talked about a
Yes.
resume program and some
Yeah.
other things like that. So you've fully grown full circle to help the whole community.
My goodness, yes. Well, when COVID came, we had to pivot. Now, in a business, I think a lot of business owners know that you have to pivot at some point, right? And a lot of business owners had to do it. Um, in that space, because I was so new, I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I have no clue. And God, if you're telling me to go out into the streets, because at that time, that's when we saw the death numbers just increase and rise. And, I said, surely I'm not going outside. This is just literally how I thought. Surely that's not what you've called me to do. Um, Atlanta was different than most. Where I'm from, Atlanta, and Atlanta was more outside than the rest of the world. Okay, everybody was acting like it wasn't COVID down here, and I, on the other hand, was very much in my COVID bubble, and I'm inside. I'm, we've got the PPEs. We're masking up. We're staying far from each other. Like we're inside. So one day I had my neighbor, she came over because, we're in our own little bubble. She came over and she said, so when are you getting back with, what are we doing with COAC? What's happening? Let's move. I said, but girl, it's COVID is outside. We don't know. Um, and I literally was like, okay, I've got to figure out a way to get things online because I see that's where the world is moving. I think a lot of business owners have to figure that part out. And I literally, because I was in my spiritual walk and listening to God said, get online and call yourself a resume writer. Now, in my 9 to 5 at that time, I had been the manager of career services for a nursing college, and I was there for years until I got to the corporate level in the university. And I helped thousands of students like get literal jobs, which I didn't know that was a skill that I had. I found that I really loved it. Sometimes you don't know the gifts and talents you have until you come across them, and I just absolutely loved helping and just helping you get prepared for the workforce because we all need a job. We all need to get ready. And I realized there were so many people who didn't know how to. And when I sought that route, I said, okay, well, let me get on LinkedIn, call myself a resume writer. If that's what God is calling me to do. And that was like a Tuesday. By the Thursday, I had my first client, and I was like, whoa, okay, wait. I had my price points, and they were really, really just simple things that people could do. And then the clients just started to roll in, and I said, okay, God, well, bless you. Yes, you do. Yeah, and the clients started to roll in, and I started helping people land their jobs, land these roles, shift careers. And then I said, okay, well, I can tie this particular model into our organization. Because at that time, it really wasn't called the Good Resume Project. It was just me being, in the freelance space. Then the Good Resume Project came just after a process of finding how I would pivot the business, how I would adjust what we were doing. And it's called the Good Resume Project literally because not only do you get a good resume and good, career readiness documents, you are doing good in the community, and you're doing good because every last penny that is made in the Good Resume Project helps all of our community outreach efforts. And so I slowly started to merge the two together. I invested in myself. And I think a lot of business coaches and business, people who want their own business, I think that is a big thing to invest in yourself. And so I invested in a business coach that to help me kind of get processes and strategies together because I realized that there were things that I needed to learn through this journey, of just becoming, because really what it was is just me becoming something that I never knew that I could be, wanted to be, or even thought to be, number one. And now being in the space of being successful and helping people achieve their dreams from a professional sense, but also helping people in the community thrive and get those resources that they didn't have. We're helping them get the food that they didn't have the money to get. We're helping them. We're raising funds so they could pay a bill. We're raising funds so that they could get the hygiene products, that they needed. And it was just so many things happening all at once that I had to focus on one thing at a time. But the Good Resume Project, it literally changed my life, because of the presence on LinkedIn that it generated. And that presence then allowed people to reach out to me to partner with me on the communities side of things. So
That's
it
awesome.
kind that yeah, it was like a full circle effect, and I started to begin to network and to meet people, and that's how COEX started to get into some of the bigger spaces. We started to get into Georgia State, and we started to get into Gwinnett Technical College, which are just different colleges, and Morehouse University, and all kind of things out in our area to help people, because the Good Resume Project would bring those people who were looking to get their resumes done, and then it turned into the programs that we now have today. The Good Resume Projects, all the work that we've done with the Good Resume Project has led to our Empower Her Career program. We do that with the Fulton County Jail here in Atlanta and the National Incarceration Association through partnership. And it is a cohorted program, and it's women in there who are leaving jail for the first time after years and are re-entering society. And we are helping to reduce the recidivism rates by showing them different things that they could do to enhance their lives, get a proper job, so that that you have the means to support yourself, so that you aren't back in the streets and doing the things that got you in jail in the first place. We're giving them financial literacy with our partnership through Capital One, so that they know how to manage themselves once they get the money, from the jobs. And so we're making sure that they're doing amazing things. And I love to see it. We have our COAC Feeds program, and every month we go out and we feed the homeless, because that is, oh my goodness, we're different than some, right? Some organizations like to host big events, and we do our events, and I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But there is something that shifts when you are actually out in the streets, in the encampments, and you are talking to the individuals that are out there, realizing that these are people like you and I who just kind of got caught up, on hard times. There are people whose lives weren't naturally set up for them to succeed, and they fell prey to that. And it has literally transformed a lot of the people that come out and volunteer. It transformed the way they think. Some people have come and said, "Wow, I mean, they would sit there and just cry, because these are people, these are people that we see, the babies out in the streets as well. And so we feed them, we give them food, we give them hygiene products, we bring resources to them, we pray with them, we just bring a positive air, a positive light. There are people who are going through chemotherapy that have to stay on the street, and the food that we give them is just the food that they needed, so that they can nourish themselves after chemotherapy treatment. And oh
Oh
my
my
gosh,
gosh, your whole organization is going full circle.
oh
It
my
is
gosh,
like
just
it
full
encompasses
circle.
the whole community. Oh my
It's a
word.
whole community. It's a whole community. It's a whole community. And that's really what has shocked me over the years. I mean, it has taken on a course of its own. Because it isn't just the food insecurity that I thought that we would just be doing. We are bringing health care to them, because they can't get to the hospitals. They don't have the insurance, the Medicare, Medicaid. We're bringing that out to them. We're also bringing self care options to them as well. We give them massages, and we take care of their feet. We do their hair. We give them clothes.
Wow.
We do
When
all
I say
kinds of.
full circle, I mean
It's full
full
circle.
circle.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's full circle. It's full
everything
circle.
you've learned. I mean, because you've learned a lot in a very short period of time, obviously.
Yes. Yes.
What would you have gone back and told your 18-year-old self?
Oh my goodness. Oh, I would have said, hang in there.
Mm.
It's going to be okay. Because I was going through just the earlier bouts of depression and the times that I wanted to give up on myself, um, in those moments where I wanted to just end it, I kept hearing God say, "Stop! I've got so much more for you." And and if I could go back and tell the naive little girl that I was at that age, it's just hang in there, take control of your life. Don't listen to anybody else. Follow your gut, follow your instinct, and know that you are where you are supposed to be at that moment, because all of those pieces come back full circle to help the next person, to help the next generation, and to help you. They're all there to help you.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
I would.
talking about people are there to help you. You say they
Yeah,
are. They
they
are. God
are.
put them there. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and you've talked about people who have walked into your life and made a statement or a comment or something. But what is something else that's happened that has shifted your business that you did that everybody else maybe said, "Oh, don't do that. That's not going to work." But you did it anyway.
But I did it anyway. Oh my goodness. So many people have said don't do that. So many people have said that, and I paid attention to some of those things too, which I'm glad that I've learned from that. Um, the comments that people have made, and the thing that I did, that I shifted my business, was when we shifted the way that the organization handles people, because we do these wraparound services. We've gotten a lot of pushback in the beginning, because people were, it was even in the way that we would word things. People would say, well, nobody, this could be people's ignorance too. People would say, well, nobody knows the word food insecurity. Just say homeless, just say, unhoused. And I'm like, well, those are not the only people that are suffering, right?
Mhm.
America right now is in a place of a lot of food insecurity. There are people in food deserts. I live in a food desert. You know what I mean? And you just can't get the healthy options that you need. And so people would tell me how and what to say, how to word it, just so it would suit their needs, how to do my programs the way that we're doing them, to suit their needs. And I was like, no, I'm actually going to go with my gut. My gut, all the pieces that, going to, I'm going to circle it back for a quick second to answer this question. Going back to the Hosea Feeds the Hungry, there was an event that I went to, and at that time I was at my early 20s. And back in, if you're from Atlanta, we have the Mercedes-Benz Stadium now, but back then it was the Georgia Dome. Okay, and so they used to do these big events in the Georgia Dome, and they would bring a lot of unhoused individuals from different, off the streets and different shelters, to come in to participate in this event. And they had a lot of wraparound services for them. But I was in a space where I was one of the people who would intake their information. So I would be writing, their name, asking them questions, their demographics, and I was just in that space. But I had a bird's eye view that I could look down in the Georgia Dome and just see the help that they were getting. And I said that day, I said, I want to do something like this one day. And this was like 2022, like I was 22, 23 years old at that time. It's like, I want to help. I want to help because I would watch how they would get warm showers and they would just feel so good. And they had dental services. I mean, it was just so big and massive, but I was in a place that I could see everything. And full circle, when we are doing our own wraparound service, that's the place that I go to, because I remember being in a space of seeing how people who don't get love on a day-to-day basis, I saw them receive love that day. I saw them receive care. So when people said, oh, I don't think you should do your programs that way, I don't think you should have a wraparound service, maybe you should start small, maybe you should start with like 10 people, and and I'm like, but know. God's calling me to do something bigger. And I know that, right? And so I had to trust my instincts into what I felt God was telling me to do. I wrote those things down and I kept them private, to know that we are in a space of expanding today. I told one of my board members, I said, you honestly don't have a clue of the prayers that I prayed, that I wrote, and I told nobody, because he came to me and said, "Hey, Evalye, we really, let's talk about expansion, because I'm in Alabama, and he was like, oh, I have connects down here." I said, "Wait, hold on, hold on." I said, "Wait a minute, I want to expand, but you don't know what I've prayed. Like, you had no clue that he just literally just casually brought it up. Like, when we going to Alabama?" It's like, okay. So, you just never know where God puts you, in the places that he puts you, in the pieces. Listen to that. Listen to your gut, not anybody else's voice. And so I'm so happy and thankful that I've been able to listen and be obedient, and block out that outside noise so that our programs could be successful to help the thousands we've helped to this day.
So
Yeah.
I love the fact that you literally were able to stand up and look down.
Literally.
Have a vision.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Now,
Yeah.
some of you haven't had that physical vision, but you've had a vision.
Yeah.
Are you following your gut?
Gotta be the key, man. That is the key, Angel. You gotta follow your gut, even when it looks different than what you planned your life to be, even when it looks like it might hurt something or break something off of you. I always say follow that voice, because that's, for those who aren't believers in God or who are believers in God, that is where you're supposed to be. Is always on the other side of that voice. Wherever that voice is taking you, you're always supposed to be on the other side of that. So get to that part. Find the resources, find the tools, find the mechanism, make something, even if it's such a small little step that you take. Reading a book, going to a workshop, even if something is there that sparks an interest, follow that interest, see where it goes. Don't let it just sit in your body. That's how we get to the shoulda, coulda, wouldas in this life.
No, you're talking about things sitting in their body. So
Yeah.
when people start as an entrepreneur, they have all these envisions of what's going to happen and what they see. What
Yeah.
is one that you wish they would kick to the curb because society is saying this is what entrepreneurs need to think and do? What is that one thing?
Oh, to think and do. My God, there's so many, so many things. But I would say one of the things that people are like, well, you should whatever, do that thing that makes you the like money quick, because and see how you can turn your business around in a quick fashion. I think building a business is for the long haul. It's not a fast paced. The money doesn't always come. Your money is always funny. It's always funny sometimes, depending on what you've got going on. You know what I mean? Especially in the nonprofit space, we got donations and things of that nature. So I always say to the entrepreneur, always follow the breadcrumbs. So even if that little breadcrumb puts you in a space for a year, that year, learn the things that you need to learn, connect with the people that you need to connect with. If it's $10 you're going to make that year, make that $10. But those pieces, because you're not building the business too fast, too prematurely, you are building the bones for it to have a foundation that outstands you or withstands your existence on this earth, God willing. And that is what I take in my business, because so many people want us to ramp up things so quickly, and I'm big on strategy. And I say, no, if it doesn't, if these people, if I don't feel good in a partnership, it doesn't feel right, that's not the partner for us. We're going to start over. Let's start something new. I'm not afraid to pilot. Let's pilot, see if it looks good. If it feels good, if it works. If it doesn't work, scratch it. Let's do something different. Like I'm not afraid to switch it up. And I wish entrepreneurs knew that that switch up is needed. That switch up is needed. Take your time, build your foundation. Don't do things too fast. If it comes to you fast, then that's great. Make sure that you get the resources and strategies you need in order to keep it.
I love the
But
pilot. I love the
yeah,
pilot.
gotta
Pilot.
find it.
So
Pilot
I
it.
don't know about you, but I have been known to have a job or two on the side, a
Yes.
business, um, you know, still working and start something else. Have you done that before?
Yes.
Mm.
Yes. So I am still in a 9 to 5. I am. Yeah, I still am. And you know what? I struggle with that for a good bit because I said, well, God, surely, I know that I'm supposed to be in the nonprofit space, but how do I make
Yeah,
money? So how do we get there?
yeah.
Because I knew that what I was doing with the Good Resume Project, I pocket nothing. Everything goes just to making sure that we have what we need resource wise. And then I like to be stable in my life. I am the director at a major university down here in Atlanta. And God has really shown up, working on my doctorates. And it wasn't until recently, because I was struggling with the two, just trying to figure out, do I keep two? Do I not want to keep the two? Or should I just focus everything in the nonprofit? It wasn't until recently I had a conversation with someone on my board, and he was saying to me, he said, "Why can't you do both?" I said,
Mhm.
"Well, hmm." He said, "Why can't you do both?" He said, "Well, what is it? What do you want to do with the 9 to 5?" He's Because I had kind of given up some things in the 9 to 5 because I was really focusing on the nonprofit. I said, "Well, I've always wanted to be a campus president one day." He was like, "Why can't you?" He's like, "Well," I said, "Well," I said, "Well, hold on." He said, "Well, why can't you?" He's like, "Why can't you do all the things?" He said, "Everything that that you're doing in this life, God has graced you to do. So why can't you? Why can't you have both?" He said, "So many people feel like they have to have just this one thing that they do for the rest of their lives." He said, "But in reality, God is taking you through multiple iterations of yourself. And when one thing is ready to go and you have to drop that thing, then you drop it." He said, "But why can't you shoot for the stars and have the stars at the same time? Why can't you?"
Yeah.
And that was literally a few months ago. And that literally changed the way that I saw things.
Mhm.
It calmed the struggle. It made me go, okay, you're right. I can have both. I can have both. With proper planning, we have an amazing team at COAC. I have an amazing team in my 9 to 5. Like, I don't. Why couldn't I have? I don't know why I was limiting myself. I think as people, we limit ourselves so much.
Yeah.
Um,
And we listen to
it,
society. And
we
society
listen.
says, and I mean, some of us are built to be a little, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it. We're a little crazy wackadoodle. We thrive on these things. I do.
Right.
I
Yes.
thrive on it. So, all right, that leads me to balance. Okay, I
Yes.
know you have a family, you have children, you
Yes.
are married, you have a nonprofit that is amazing. You
Thank you.
are a campus direct. Okay, how do you balance it and keep it going, or is there a balance? What do you think?
There is a balance. Yeah, yeah. So I will say in the beginning there wasn't a balance, though. I will be very transparent with that. I struggled with balance because how do you do all these things? And I'm naturally a high functioning person, so I can do things, but with it did not come with stress and burnout. I was in a burnout space, so I had to figure out, what do I let go? What do I keep going with? How do I shift? How do I pivot? Who do I allow in my circle? And I've had to learn to rely on my village. I do have a family here in Georgia. I have my mom, my dad. Glory to God, they're still living. My mom is close to her 80s, and my dad is in his 70s. And I have a 1 year old, y'all. I have a 1 year old. So I have a 1 year old, a 12 year old. We have a 7 year old that just passed away not too long ago. I have a husband. I've been with him for 23 years. I have friends. God has brought and this is over just the last 2 years, he's brought in these women that pick me up. They pick me up. They get me together and they'll tell me, "Hey, girl, what are you doing? Why are we resting? What's happening? Like, get yourself together. Like, let's go. Let's do this. Let's get co-act. You need some volunteers. We got the families. We're taking the babies out. Let's go. Get up. Push yourself. You need me to watch your kids? I got it. Now you go. You go." And I haven't. Um, it feels so good. It feels so good to have a team of strong women behind you, people who actually see your vision. Even if they don't see your vision, they're just for you and they're for your family and they love me like I'm their sister and I love them like they're mine, and we help each other with the kids. And it's like, okay, well, I'll pick the kids up, or we've got homework today, and hey girl, I got something, let's have a little wine, you want to come and chill, like, let's, like, we talk about the things that help us thrive. And I don't have those yes people around me. I have people who are real transparent and they're genuine and they're God-fearing women, and they push me when I need to be pushed and I push them. And my family does too. Like, they're like, "Hey, all right, hey, we're here to support you. Whatever you've got." My dad is always, "Hey baby, whatever you need, I'm whatever you need, baby. I'm right here. You need me to pick the kids up today? I know you're busy." So I've been so blessed in that arena to be able to do 9 to 5. Even in the 9 to 5, there's so much flexibility. Um,
It sounds like
that a
you
lot,
have this tribe around you that
yeah,
they're there for you, and they're there to
go Angel,
support no matter what, and,
no matter
that's
what.
really a blessing, and you did say that it has tendency to be a small
It's
group.
small. Oh, it's
It's
small.
small, and we've
It's
talked
small.
about this on here before, as the higher you climb up the ladder in business, in careers, whatever you are, the
Yep.
smaller that circle will become. You might not have the people who you thought were gonna be there forever with you.
That is a true, whoa, that's a true statement. That
Mhm.
has been daunting and eye-opening for me just in my life. Because you do think that people are going to go with you and you want people to go with you. You're pulling people, and if there's not a lot of pull that you can do. There was a time though, Angel, when I literally, after my son passed away, I asked God to remove the people that were not for me.
Mm.
Remove them. Let them fall off some kind of way. Let me have a conversation some kind of way. Just because I didn't know if I was strong enough to have these conversations. I thought y'all were gonna come at me, so I didn't know. And that literally, God showed me who was supposed to be here on this next journey. Because when you lose somebody, you're no longer the same. Your life is no longer the same. I don't care what you had going on, what it looked like prior to. There is just never, there's no normal. There is just a new normal that you have to get used to at some point. And with that, for me, came the loss of some friendships, people falling off to the side, not speaking anymore, and me just kind of realizing that these people aren't for me. And so the ones that have been around right now, they're in my life. There are seasons for everybody, and I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful for everybody to be
Yeah,
here in space. Yeah, yeah, it feels
yeah,
good. It
yeah,
feels
and you
good.
have to allow those people to be okay with not being
Yep,
around you. You have to allow that. Don't get upset. It's
that's
okay.
right. It's
It
okay.
and maybe it's where they need to be right now too, you know?
Exactly.
You never know. All right.
You never
You
know.
have a woman who is in the middle of a mess and she's ready to quit.
Yes.
I know you can answer this so well. What I mean, come on. You have a full circle nonprofit.
Yeah.
You are a director of a campus. I mean, reality is, I mean, sometimes there are white flagging
Right.
red flags, and you're like ready to chunk them down. The
Yeah.
question is what do you suggest for them to do?
If they want to quit,
They want to quit. They're in the middle of the mess. They don't know what they're doing. They're in the sludge. They don't know
Yeah.
how to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
Suggestion.
My biggest suggestion, I have two things. So first, I would ask them to pray about it. That's me, because my spiritual side will always ask you to call to your spiritual side. Um, but then sometimes there are times when you have to let go. Let's figure out what that is when you have to let it go. Sometimes our bodies are in burnout because we didn't take the time for ourselves that we needed to take. We didn't take the time that we needed to spread certain things out, to provide strategy where strategy was needed, protocol where protocol was needed, process where process was needed, and burnout can really come. Sometimes you just have to take a step back. Take a few days, take a week, take a month. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that you are not an entrepreneur. It doesn't mean that you are not what you are in that space. If you're in a particular title or a job or a role, it doesn't mean that you are not that. But sometimes it is required to taking a step back, because then in that space, when you take a step back, you can see what pieces are left. What pieces do I still want to hold and take with me? Or what pieces do I just want to let the whole thing go? You know what I mean? I don't believe quitting always looks like a full-on quit. I believe quitting is just a quit of just that moment, in that space, in that time, to really readjust, refocus, and to pivot. Yeah. So
And
I would say,
I love your verbiage, pilot. When you
yeah,
need to pilot maybe to see if that tweak's gonna help move the needle a little bit.
that's right. That's why I always do a pilot now, Angel. I don't care what we've got going on. We're gonna pilot everything. We're gonna figure it out. I want to know what it looks like, because we're gathering information. And also, as a person, as a woman, as somebody, how does that make you feel when you're doing something professionally or personally? Pay attention to the feelings that brings up. Do you feel excited when you do it, now that you've kind of gotten it out and you're in the pilot phase? Or do you feel drained, and does it take away from certain things that you've noticed that there were more issues or complications that have come up? You know what I mean? Take a moment to readjust. All too often people just kind of dive right in. They dive right in, and then
Yeah.
they get closer to the burnout phase, and the burnout phase is not fun at all. This is where I want to pull my hair out, white flag. I want to quit, quit, quit. I can't get up today and do this. That's a lot of the times where that comes in.
And
And
I'm
I've been
gonna
there.
put these 2 things together. All
Yeah,
right, you ready? A pivoting pilot.
there you go.
Oh my god. Think of a
What are we?
pivoting pilot, guys.
I love that, because so many people need to pivot, and they need to pilot this pivot so they know that they can pivot for sure. They know that they can pivot for sure. So yeah,
And it's gonna work. Hello? I mean,
it's
you don't
going
have
to work.
to jump all in, and that's what people think. Like you said, they gotta jump all in. That's what it is. Oh, come on. Do you ever just jump into a pool? I don't. I dip my toe in that pool.
You did. Now, no, now, Angel,
You
listen, there are some
jump?
people who just jump. Some people just jump right in. Those people, they don't care what's at the bottom. They don't care how deep it is. They just, oh, it's water. Let me go. And they dive, right?
I pilot my toe
You
first.
pilot your toes. I love that you pilot that. I'm the same way. I dip my toes in. I don't just jump right in.
Yeah, unless I know the temperature and it shows me on my jacuzzi,
There
otherwise
you
I'm
go.
not gonna do it. I'm just gonna like tip my toe. Okay, we're
That's
about
it.
this temperature. So if my brain's ready for it. Think about it. Your brain's
Yes.
gonna be ready for it.
It's got to
Hello?
be ready. It's got to be ready. And you know what? And I will say this, just for the people who are like, well, I don't see the point in jumping in. Sometimes you do have to take risks. Sometimes you have to go in. Their risk is taking a risk can be yummy, because you don't know what's on the other side. If you're leading with fear and hesitation, sometimes I think there is such a fine line between knowing when to jump and when to just kind of take a moment, right? There's a fine line there. So like it really has to be based on your intuition and what you feel led to do. But risk in jumping into a pool might feel good at that time, and you might have the best success because you took that risk and you didn't hesitate. So that's for the people who aren't like, girl, I don't have time to pilot a thing. I don't have time to pilot a thing. I want to do this thing now. We'll do it, girl. Do that and see
But
how it is on the other end.
think about it on social media, okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they have where you can actually see which ads going best. You're piloting ads when you do
You
that.
are. You are. You are.
You're
You are.
piloting. A TV
Yeah.
show never just throws it up there. They pilot
Nope.
it.
They do. They do. Everything has a pilot in its own form, you know what I mean? And it doesn't mean don't. But there are a lot of people because I'm learning that there are a lot of people who struggle with strategy. That they don't know that that is a part of strategy sometimes. It can be a part of success. So yeah.
It really can be. All right,
It
I
can be.
want to take a sneak peek into the future. What are you seeing? What's going on?
Oh my goodness, Angel. So much is going on. The future is so bright for me personally and professionally, but I see Kodak expanding. We're getting right. We're expanding right now, but you touched on it earlier. I do see us expanding nationally as well, and having the branches. Because I've always seen the reason I call it corporation is because I have always seen it as a corporation. It isn't a one-stop nonprofit, and we're not just one one layer. We're multifaceted, and I do see us expanding in that way. And I also see us expanding internationally as well. But that's the future. I also just see so many ways for me to help women. I think I've been called here to help women overcome, to let women know that they can have their cake and eat it too. So many women feel that they can't. So many women feel that they have to make a choice because of our lives. Because well, I have the man, the kid, the baby. I have to be home and be the wife and I can't have both of the worlds. And unfortunately, there are a lot of women that think that way, that I've come across. And I wouldn't say that that's small-minded or anything. I would just say be open to the possibilities that there could be more. So many things in life I feel like get thrown on a woman's shoulders, and we lose confidence in ourselves. We lose ourselves sometimes being a mom and a wife, and then we're trying to figure out what do I like and what do I want to do or what makes me happy again. I have been called spiritually to tap into just using my story and my platform to help women know that they can thrive, whatever they decide they want to do, that they can do it. And that's where I see for my future going in the next few years, really.
I
Yeah.
love it. Okay, tell us something unexpected about you that not a lot of people would know about.
Ooh, okay, girl. Well, I am a classically trained violist. I know. Okay, so I am a huge classical music buff. Love, 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 love. I love music. I went to school for music education, and I went there going knowing that I was going to be a performer. I wanted to play for the Atlanta Symphony Orchestra and travel the world that way until somebody said, well, my advisor at the time, when he said, he said, that's great. I think that's great. He said, but I think you should have a backup. I think you should have an education backup. Thank God he did, because I ended up in higher education. But but he said, I think you should have a backup. Not a lot of people make it as performers. While about 10% of the music world only make it as like professional performers. And I've been playing the viola since I was 11 years old. I'd gotten to state championships, national championships, and a lot of the times being the only person of color in those spaces. And so a lot of people they're like, what? And it's not a violin, it's the
Nope.
viola. Like, there's a difference, people.
Do you still play?
I a little bit. When my second son was born, or my first son, when he was born, I slowed down. I joined the Atlanta Philharmonic, and and I was playing in the community and doing different things. I had my own group at one point, but then, girl, life. I felt God pulling me to do so many other things at that time, and I said, you know what? I think it's time for me to put it down. So every now and again, I'll come out, I'll pluck a few strings, let my children hear that their mother used to play an instrument. But I played for from 11 years old to about 30, 36, 37.
Wow.
And I'm 42 now. So it's only been a few years since I've kind of let that piece go. But it is near and dear to my heart and will always be. And my children aren't musically inclined at all. They're very creative. My daughter is like an artist and she can draw and sculpt and stuff. Like, where did you get that from? So, because everybody just thinks, oh, well, you know it, so you should teach them. I'm like, no, this was my gift. I want to know what her gifts are. I want to know what their gifts are. They may not always be musically inclined, but I know they're creative. So yes, so that is a little known fact.
All right, you love music. So
love music.
Give me some songs that you love.
Okay, so I was telling you a little earlier, I'm a gospel girly. Like, I love a good gospel song. I love Everything by Ty Tribbett. I don't know if people have heard of Ty Tribbett, but I love Everything. It has just been what that song resonates with me because the lyrics just talk so much about how God is everything, and he's a redeemer, he's a healer, he's done all of these things in my life. He's healed me from depression and suicide thoughts and anxiety, and he has delivered me to the other side, and he has brought me to a place that I never thought I would be, just because he is just so good. And outside of being a gospel girly, I love Beyonce.
Well, what's the song from the guy? What's the song? The name?
It's called Everything.
It's Everything. Okay.
It's literally called Everything. Yep, by Ty Tribbett. Yeah.
And I love Beyonce too. So what's your favorite Beyonce?
Girl, what? Who favorite? Her albums. Every last album. If you all of my beef. No, but more recently, I was able to go to her Cowboy Carter concert. I took my daughter. That's her first major big girl concert ever. She wore the hat and the things and the dress up and the cowboy boots and all of that. And so, but my favorite song from Beyonce from this particular album is called Flamenco. It is just one of her, like, I don't know, it's maybe like a minute and a half long, and it's just simple, and her vocals are just so simple on that track, and the harmonies on that track. When I listen to music, I pay attention to the way that the music comes in. I think that's just because of my musical background. I pay attention to all of that. Like, I pay attention to the way the musical pieces come in, the sounds, and then the way that the harmonies blend together. And on that particular track, the harmonies in that song draw me in. Just the way that it's just lush. So yeah, it's so lush. It's a great song. Yeah.
What about a favorite book?
Okay, so my favorite book right now is The Atomic Habits. There was a space in time in my life where I had to shift the way that I was doing things. It only came through building habits to stop thinking the way I was thinking, to start adjusting the way that I eat, who I hung out with, how I got up and handled this business, all the pieces, learning finding the resources and really being dedicated. So finding that sweet space and building a habit, I think has really allowed me to be successful in what I do. But Atomic Habits, I would recommend. 10 out of 10. Everybody should read it, especially if you're somebody who's struggling with trying to do something different in your life and you wanting to break old habits and gain a new habit. Yeah.
And I'm going to assume your other one would be the Bible.
Of course, Angel.
I don't know.
Oh, girl, listen, Started reading the Bible in January, and for all the people who like reality TV shows out there, here's a funny tidbit: read Genesis. It is tea. It will have you clutching your invisible pearls. It's like, what?
Mhm.
Do that in the Bible. So yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's
Yeah.
a fun time.
TV has nothing on that drama.
Oh,
Okay.
girl. Girl, no, it really doesn't. So yeah.
All right. A quote or word that you live by that you just love.
That I just love. Yeah. So there's a quote that I live by that I take into my business every time. Every time I wake up, anything that I do, and it sounds like this: make your little your lot. Whatever little bit that you think that you have could really be abundant in somebody else's life. So if you have a smile that day to give to somebody who doesn't feel loved, who's out on the street, if you have just some food that you pack. Even when we go to feed the homeless, it isn't a lot of food that we take, and we're able to feed over 100 to 200 people in like 45 minutes with just
Wow.
snack bags sometimes. You know what I mean? It just depends on whatever that little is. That is a lot for somebody who doesn't have, who feels like they can't get up today. To see you walking, to see you being able to pray for somebody, to hold their hands, to have a conversation with somebody can literally change the trajectory of their life or their moment of their day. Be the light for somebody's darkness, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's powerful. All right, let's go on a funner side, a funnier,
Okay.
funner, whatever
Fine.
side. Go ahead and tell me about a superpower you would love to have for just 24 hours.
Ooh, flying. I would love to fly. I would love to fly. Oh my God. Do you know where I would go? Ooh, girl, I would go all over the
I was
world.
like, you be everywhere.
Everywhere. I would go everywhere. I would love, 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 love to fly. And then and you can tell I kind of thought about this just in my own personal time. But if I could fly, I would just drop little things out of the sky. You know what
I
I'm saying?
saw
It's like
that.
little
I
nuggets,
saw
you know what I mean? Here's a dollar, you get a dollar, you get a dollar. I don't know. You know how Oprah, everybody gets everything. I want to be a little flying Oprah, just flying all across. You get
that.
some help today. You get some help today. Oh,
I
let me pay your bill. Here's some tip, And so and then
I love
I
it.
would love to just fly all over, see everything, help people. I just really feel led to do it. So I would fly.
Yeah. Yeah, and okay, yeah, so you're talking about flying and looking over and everything. I'm going back to that vision of you standing up
Yeah.
at the top looking
Yeah.
down.
Looking down. Yeah. It's so
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah.
That it was so pivotal for me. And I would have just never known something so small would turn into something so big. It was really eye-opening for me. Really eye-opening for me.
All right, let's talk about, we have a lot of us run on empty sometimes because we're giving, 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 giving. What is it that can keep you motivated when you're in that space?
Oh, good God. I'm still trying to figure out all those pieces, if I'm being really honest. Here lately, though, what I have been doing is taking time to myself. So I get up at 5 o'clock in the mornings, where I wasn't before. I get up at 5 o'clock in the mornings and I take time for me without the kids, without my husband. I tell him, hey, if you want to spend time, you can get up at 5:30 if you wanted to, but for me at 5 o'clock in the morning, I can take my shower, I can do my makeup, I can do my hair, I can, you know what I mean, just sit down and give myself a small pedicure before the day gets started. I can drink my juice. I do fresh juices, and today
Oh,
I'm drinking like a carrot and ginger and lemon
oh,
and
yum.
celery juice. Yeah, it's really good.
Yum.
I can just do the things, you know what I mean, that I throughout the day don't always have time to do because I have a demanding 9 to 5 and we have to figure out what's going on with the next event for COAC. And then I get home and then we've got babies and the baby needs all the attention because he's just the sweetest little yummiest little baby thing. I've got homework and cheer practice and by the end of the night, I'm exhausted I'm exhausted. So
Yeah.
there's nothing else coming for me. At the end of the night, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
So when I wake up, I've learned to really just start to hone in on me and start to get back to um Evalye, right? Start to really know, okay, in this new space, because I have had to recreate a new space since the baby passing. Um, who is she? Because this lady that's right here in front of me in this mirror, she exudes so much strength, she exudes so much power, she exudes something that she didn't even know she had. And I have to figure that out. So the old me would have said maybe something different, but the new me is like, all right, now how do we balance the new her? She's a different bag. She's a different bag, and she's in her bag. And everywhere she goes, she emits light, and she's happy, and she's bubbly, and she's helpful. You know what I mean? And she stands in her own ground, and she can say no, and she could give herself grace when times and days don't go as she plans, and know that she's okay. Right? That's power in itself to know that I'm okay. And so I want to take care of that. And I've been waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning and just like, all right, girl, hey, who do you feel like today? What do you want to happen? You
Yep.
know?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you,
That's
God.
it.
This is what's going to happen.
Yep. Listen, I don't know. God has got me. He's got our family, but I'm gonna do that. Yeah, I'm gonna be up at 5 in the morning to help myself for the morning. Yeah.
So, Emily, what is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you?
Yeah, so you all can, if you're on Instagram is the top way. There we post a lot of the things that we do. Instagram is COAC_GA. You could also visit our website at coacservices.com. And there you could find all the ways if you're interested in donating, volunteering if you're in the Atlanta area, or if you want to come out of state. Some people come to the state, just to volunteer with us, in finding ways to connect with us. If you're interested in partnering, all of that information is on the website too. We are always looking to partner and make a deeper impact in multiple communities. We realize that communities don't always look like one thing that we think it looks like. It is the people that are the voiceless. They don't have the voices. Sometimes there are people right now who's sitting in this day and age in America who've lost their jobs, don't know what they're getting ready to do. They're one foot almost out on the street, and they don't nobody else knows, but those are the people that need help too. And so we like
Yeah.
to find our way into those spaces too. And so I know we spend a lot of time talking about the unhoused and what we do, but we are all over. Anybody that needs help is where we find ourselves. So please, 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 our website and Instagram is the best way.
Awesome. Thank you. And I know with all your pearls of wisdom, you have a mic drop moment for all our listeners out there. What do you want to leave them with?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Be kind to each other. Be kind, be kind, be kind, be kind. Because you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what somebody's going through. You don't know how they woke up. It might have taken them, oh my gosh, so much to get out of bed that day, just to put their feet on the ground. I've been in spaces where it took so much to get out of bed, just to put a smile on my face, just to walk as if I was okay. And the worst feeling is when you go out into the world and people aren't kind to you,
Yeah.
knowing that you've just had a feeling like crap on the inside. So be kind. You don't know what people are going through. Treat them the way that you would want to be treated. And I do believe that that good will come back to you. So that's what I would
Excellent.
leave.
All right,
Yeah.
Evelyn, you're
Yeah.
amazing. Thank you for being on here. What a blessing. Mwah.
Thank you, Angel. I appreciate you so much. I love everything that you're doing for women. And I love how you're empowering and uplifting people. And it's just been such a blessing to be here. So I thank you for having me. Really. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye-bye.
Yes. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.